Right. Well, so if you talk about why the ECOWAS Parliament is concerned about the political climate in Nigeria, the basic point is that Nigeria is the most populous nation, not just within the West Africa sub-region, but across Africa as well. Whatever happens to this country in terms of its democratic principles and the democratic tendency has the likelihood to impact countries such as Ghana and others in the West Africa sub-region. There may be a displacement of people if anything goes wrong with the democratic processes in this country. Is the reason for which the Legal Affairs Committee of the ECOWAS Parliament says they need to move in and to look at the early warning signals. For those of you who are not aware of the early warning signals, ECOWAS adopted an early warning mechanism a couple of years ago, actually, just aimed at ensuring that the views and sentiments of the ECOWAS population is adopted and part of the democratic or political situation going forward. If the climate becomes one that is filled with tension, then that early warning mechanism will be triggered just to allow for actors across West Africa to engage leaders and to engage the necessary stakeholders that will ensure that the political climate is calm and still. So it's the reason for which the deliberations are in fact underway from amongst the MPs themselves. Officially tomorrow the committee will have its sitting, and once they have that sitting they will decide on what the way forward should be on the political climate in Nigeria. Mind you, the opposition political parties are asking for a rerun of the elections where they believe that the candidacy of Bola Ahmed Tinubu as the leader of the APC should be annulled. He should not be recognized as the president-elect. And these are matters that the opposition wants escalated to the West African body. They've been asking ECOWAS to ensure that all West African leaders boycott the swearing in, which is just up in a few days. So it's been a very charged atmosphere here in Nigeria, with some of the political parties mounting pressure on the ECOWAS Parliament to begin to act. I've been interacting, fortunately, with some of our Ghanaian MPs who have been also sharing their thoughts on what has been happening here in Nigeria. I've been talking to the MPs who say that we find ourselves in a very interesting situation. Back in 2020, after our elections, the opposition National Democratic Congress decided to head to court over the matter. And yet, when that was done, the indication from the experts is that the Nigerian government did not fail to recognize our president-elect Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, and so in their view it will be a difficult situation if the government of Ghana does not recognize Bola Ahmed Tinubu. I've been speaking to Whole West Member of Parliament Emmanuel Bedra, who explains to me why he believes that government ought to simply recognize Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and if possible we could attend the inaugural ceremony of Bola Ahmed Tinubu. In the event the Nigerian federal courts decide on what the future of the political situation in Nigeria should be, then Ghana would act accordingly.
Well, I'm a member of the Human Rights and Legal Committee that has a joint committee meeting tomorrow with the political committee tomorrow. One of the issues that we'll be looking at will be to deliberate on, to meet with the commissioner in charge of political affairs from the ECOWAS Commission. And one of the things we'll be deliberating on has to do with the situation in Sierra Leone as well as Liberia. You know, Sierra Leone and Liberia will be having their elections soon, as well as Guinea-Bissau. Guinea-Bissau will be having their deputy, that's a deputies or parliamentary election also in August. And so we have issues to deal with. Now, as part of our mandate as a committee, we visited Sierra Leone, we visited Guinea-Bissau, and I was personally involved in visiting Liberia on early warning mechanism to know the signals that we picked for the election. And so tomorrow we'll be looking at the issues that have come up and what the commission has done about it, because after our visit we came out with a report that was sent to the commission for adoption and for monitoring, and so they are yet to report to the committee tomorrow to tell us what they've done and how prepared they are for the election in Sierra Leone as well as in Liberia and Guinea-Bissau. Then we'll also look at the fallout from the Nigeria election. So tomorrow, that's what we'll be looking at. And then next week, we'll debate our own report that the commission has shared with us. And so tomorrow, yes, we'll be looking at all those reports.
What are the initial issues coming up from the Nigerian election? Because you know they are still hearing their court case, for instance, and you as members on that committee, what initial recommendations are you making?
Well, when you look at the country report from Nigeria, for instance, I was around when the committee report was given, and you'll be surprised that the number of people who voted was less than 30% out of the registered voters. So if you have a president, elected president, who was elected by less than 30% of registered voters, then you have a question mark there, because I think internationally accepted figures should be hovering between 45 and 50%, and you have less than 30% people voting for you as a president. That calls for a lot of introspection on his part. I don't know how they're going to do it, and I don't know what the court will come out with. My prayer is that there is so much fear in the atmosphere. My prayer is that this thing will be resolved, because, like I mentioned on the floor the other day, that when Nigeria coughs, the whole of West Africa, gets Qatar, and so we need to handle this situation very well so that it will not, spill over to the other parts of West Africa country.